Welcome back to Recrutes HabsCast. I am delighted to be joined by Lane Hutson's father, Rob, who happens to also be father of a couple of three other aspiring NHLers, and it's great that you could join us in your car.
Well, first and foremost, thanks for having me, and it's always my pleasure. I love talking hockey with you, and um, hopefully we can give you some insight into what's been going on.
Yeah, you were saying you were telling me just before we came on that you lost a few pounds this summer. Just hectic summer. You were saying that you're getting up early every day for Lane. For Lane, he's a bit of a workhorse, is he?
He loves to be at the rink, and it goes without saying. It's just not Lane. It's Quinn, Cole, and Lars.
Yes.
They're all putting in the grind, and they, they're really good for each other.
Yeah, absolutely. What? Just curious, like in a week, how many hours would you say Lane and the others, well, Lane in particular, would have been on the ice this summer in Chicago?
Well, I'm not going to give the number of hours. I will say that he enjoys being on the ice. Um, there's there's not a lot of time off from the hockey. It's not like the old days where you're drinking beer and water skiing and those types of things. It's more, uh, you know, it's he's a lot more dialed in than I was when I was a player. That's for sure.
What kind of stuff were you working on this summer with Lane and the boys?
Well, I mean, I think there's always a variety of stuff, right, that they want to work on, and even some of the things that people may say, oh, he's really good at. It's important that he gets his touches. They all get their touches. Um, certain things they want to work on, and depending on what it is, like a lot of it is self-driven now. As they've gotten older, they really drive each other and work with each other. So I don't have to do as much as I say or it appears possibly that I do. But as an example, if he wants to work on his shot, no problem. All he's got to do is ask. If it's early in the morning or it's late at night and there's an open sheet ice, we definitely will take advantage of it depending on what the day went like.
Yeah. Well, he did only tally a couple of goals last year. I would imagine that would be one of the things he'd like to maybe score a few more next year.
I mean, I don't, for Lane, specifically, I don't think he cares if he scores another goal. Um, that's just kind of his mindset. He's always a pass first guy, and he'll be happy if you know a teammate scores 40, scores 50, um, which hopefully this season he has a couple of guys that do that. And
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
it's not always who scores them. It's as long as the team scores them.
Right. And I mean, if he has an improved shot, it also becomes people have to take away the shot too, right? And then that opens him up for even more assists. Like, I mean, he only had 60 last year, or, give or take. So, yeah, he wouldn't
Yeah,
mind. He'd like to get 70 plus this year, wouldn't he?
I, I I listen. I'm sure he wants to get as many as it takes again for them to win.
Yeah.
Um, so eh, I mean, I think some of the things that um, when you work on those types of things, it's to know that you have it in your back pocket,
Yeah.
and when other people don't know that you have it in your back pocket, that's when it really surprises everybody.
Yeah.
And Um, you know, like any good magician, they pull it out of the hat when they need to pull it out of the hat.
Right. Yeah, exactly. When did he's back in Montreal, is he?
Yeah, I think I want to say he's been back there for a week and a half, something like that.
Okay.
So, so he's back there, and he gets in his routine, and from his place to the practice rink, off ice, and every once in a while back to the rink again in the evening with Ivan. So I think he's in a good routine.
With Ivan, is he's hanging out with Ivan Demidov a bit, is he?
Well, I think there's a lot of similarities there with the excitement and the love for the game and the passion. And I, I mean, and I think there'll be an internal competition, and when you have that, that usually breeds a lot better product. Um, Lane's kind of been through it before with Macklin at
Right.
BU, so this is nothing new for him, and it may be new for Demi. I don't know, but you can only iron sharpens iron, and that's you know when you're going at it and competing against each other, that's gonna help make everybody better.
Yeah. He kept in touch with Demi last year or throughout the year, I understand.
Yeah, I don't get too much into his personal life on how he does that stuff, but I know there was probably a lot of contact, and there was a lot of back and forth, and uh, when there was highs and when there was lows and everything else. I
Hmm.
think it was good that they were able to share a little bit together.
Yeah, for sure. And is Julie going to be back in Montreal this year again?
Well, Lane has extended the invite, so
Okay.
um, with all the boys out of the house now, though, we want to try to do as much of a balancing act as we can, and we'd like to actually try to do some of the stuff together. So we'll we'll just kind of wing it from here on in.
Okay. So you two will be back and forth quite a bit again, I'm sure this year, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The frequent flyer miles keep you got any free trips yet?
We probably have a couple accumulated, but you know, hopefully we use them when we're for a family trip together. So
Oh, there you go. Well, I mean, what? Edmonton, Boston, Montreal, Muskegon this year? Is that the Chicago
those
back to Chicago and kind of
those are the destinations. Yeah. So
yeah.
it I'll probably lose 2 more pounds after all the traveling.
Yeah, I bet, eh? What I mean, Julie was there quite a bit last year, right? To get him acclimated to Montreal and such. What uh what was Lane's go-to meal that mom would cook for him?
Uh, like Lane likes beefy mac, um, which Julie does a pretty good job on that, and then she makes a tuna casserole that's also pretty good.
Mm.
Those are the things that Lane likes, and then she's got this way of cooking some burgers, and you know Lane can pretty much eat whatever he wants. He needs as many calories as possible, but um, those are probably the ones that he really enjoys.
Did he add any weight this summer?
I don't know. This is probably the first year where even
Keep track?
we didn't step on a scale. We didn't measure his height. We didn't do
Right.
any of that stuff. And I know probably a lot of people are asking, is he still growing? I think he's still growing. So,
Yeah.
uh, you know, I
Well,
I I, I popped up an inch when I was like 21 or 22.
Oh,
So
well.
yeah, you just never know.
So what is he, like 5'9.5", or last time you measured him?
No, no, I think he's 5'10".
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So he's 5'10", and you know, he's catching up to Susie. So
Yeah.
it's all good. It's all good.
um. The what what was your reaction to him not being invited to the orientation camp? There were 16 defensemen. He wasn't one of them. Do you think that? I mean, I know that he was motivated by being picked in the 60s in his draft year. Would it be fair to say that not that he needs motivation? I mean, he's one of the hardest working kids in the NHL. But do you think this only added a little bit more motivation for him, that he wasn't one of the 16 at the defensemen invited to the camp?
I, I mean, like personally, I like from my standpoint, yeah, I think he should have been invited, at a minimum invited.
Right.
Um, I think our family as a whole have made a big commitment to USA Hockey throughout the years, and
Fair enough.
I you know I don't know what Bill Guavin was thinking, or what is you know like I don't know him, and he probably obviously doesn't know Lane, so.
Well,
Eh,
yeah.
so, so I mean, I get it, and people don't always make the right decisions, or whatever it is. Like we have to live with how they see it. We don't have to agree with it, but there's obviously this fuels anyone. If you're as
Absolutely.
competitive, if you're as competitive as Lane is, as Quinn is, as Cole is, as Lars is, like this definitely fuels people. And there's no there's no animosity towards it. Like
Right.
they have the opportunity to make the decision they made, and so be it.
I know we've talked before privately about, most teams. You can't have. Ideally, you don't have two 5'10" defensemen on the team, and I guess their thinking was you couldn't have Quinn and Lane, Quinn Hughes and Lane on the same team. But do you not think that those two could be on down the road, could be key parts of any U.S. international teams?
I mean, listen, we're we're always hopeful, right?
Yeah.
Like there's there's a lot of things that can happen, and there's a lot of things that are out of my control. They're out of everybody's control, right? So listen, Quinn Hughes is a great hockey player. There's
Yeah.
there's there's no doubt about that. Um, him and Lane are different players. People probably don't agree
I
with
I agree.
people say, oh, like he's gonna be. No, they're completely different. Like they're not even really comparable, to be honest. So,
Yeah. Well, I personally,
but
I think Lane is more competitive in his own zone, and that would be where I think there could be down the road that the two of them could coexist on. And I thought they could have done it in the Olympics this coming year. But so I get it in a sense that where they're saying, well, if that was the thinking, that they can only have one 5'10" defenseman, and Quinn's older and he's kind of earned it. But boy, I not to have invited him to the orientation camp, and at least even for the future, like he was a top 10 in Norris Trophy voting. Not that that matters that much, but top 10 in Norris Trophy voting, and you're not one of 16 American defensemen invited to the camp. It just it was a little bit baffling for me, but I know you're being conciliatory about it, and hey, you're gonna have you're gonna have instances where other sons are probably going to play international hockey too. So I get it, but just from a Canadian perspective, like a Habs fan perspective, there's a lot of people that are a little baffled by it.
Yeah, well, hey, listen, and you never know what happens in the future. Like my boys are also Canadian, so
Yeah,
there is a absolute luxury there, and a lot of great players have been left off the selection for Olympics and things like that. And, I think Brett Hall might have been one of them. I think, he voted with his feet. He went from Canada to the US. Like there's all types of scenarios that are I wouldn't say in play, but are possibilities, right? And um
so Lane could possibly play for Canada someday.
he could.
Yeah, well, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
I would not object to
I,
that.
and neither would all my relatives that are Canadian.
Oh, I bet.
You know, it
Yeah,
was hard enough for them to cheer for the U.S. when the boys are playing, but it would be really super easy if they were fortunate enough to play for Canada.
yeah. Well, that's fair. That's fair. Now, you were telling me at one point you were working on some, and I assumed it was, with his backhands, taking passes on his backhand and stuff. Was that with, the thinking that perhaps he plays some on his offside again this year?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, last year was the first time he played on his offside, and you know, with the situation and Montreal battling for the playoffs and everything, like I thought he handled it really well. So if he handled it really well and he's more prepared for it moving forward, that's there's a strong possibility, right? So
Yeah.
um I don't know. He didn't get any feedback from anybody whether he'd play left or right or anything else. I think they just assume Lane does Lane stuff and takes care of his own business and prepares like he's ready for whatever it is that comes forward, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think a lot will depend on how Reinbacher's camp, right? Like if he steps up and he wins a spot, he's likely going to be in the opening lineup, I would think.
Yeah, eh, yeah, and it might be the right progression for him. Like that. That I don't know. Like I'm
Yeah.
not.
No, no, for
I'm
sure.
not in on those meetings but as a person that watches from the outside, I think it's exciting that they have plenty of options.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And did Montreal obviously going into the season? I think it's fair to say that the main question mark would be who's going to play second line center, and just a little off topic here, but did Lane practice playing center at all on your rink in the summer?
No, 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 but as competitive as he is, he he probably wouldn't have an issue with it. Just no, knowing the way that he is, he's like, hey, if that's gonna help us win, I'll play center too.
So he wasn't taking any face-offs, or
No, no, we didn't go to the Brian Trottier School of Face-Offs. So
did
uh
he ever play? Did he ever play up in his earlier
uh,
years?
when he was younger, I would, depending on what the situation was, I'd line him up in those positions once in a while, not as a centerman, but as a winger. If it was a given face-off play where I didn't have a player that could make the type of play that was required, I would sometimes put him in there. but not often. Not often. He was.
Yeah.
I, I mean, he just
Yeah.
as a. I wanted all the boys to play D, right, to see the ice and understand the game and learn the game the
Okay.
right way.
Well, I'll stroke him off the list for potential second line centers. Then. Right.
Okay,
I
perfect.
um I think he did all right on defense. I think you might want to. I think they might want to keep him there. Um, now, like despite missing, you know, the previous year with a serious knee injury, Dach was shoved. Well, I mean, he was asked to play a second line center role, and then the guy that was going to be on his wing, line A last year, got injured. I mean, that was a tough spot to ask for the kid, right? To step in and play. Um, do you think this year that they'll maybe they'll look at maybe if he is ready to go game one, that they may look at easing him into such a role this year as opposed to last year?
I I don't know what the dynamics will be. I know what the expectations of the players will be. So I don't know. Um, I mean, that's a question for Marty. I just know
Yeah,
as
for
a
sure, for
eh,
sure.
I just know as a coach for me, knowing the situation, I would probably want to ease them in.
Okay.
That would be the approach that I take. Um, I would be really. I'd super simplify his game. Just say, hey, this is the only thing I'm worried about right now. Your D zone. This is it. This is the only thing I want you to focus on,
Yep.
because the rest of it is like everything else Kirby Dach has as a player. He's not going to forget, right? So if if you gave him the one thing for a 10 game segment to say, hey, all I care about is your D zone. Nobody gets between you and the net.
Yeah.
You know, just
Yep.
Kirby at a minimum, layer up. I know it's going to be a faster pace. You've been off for basically 2 years, right? So
Yeah.
if you just really keep it simple, um, and then some bounces and some of the offensive stuff will take care of itself.
Yep.
Like I think he can definitely rise,
Yep.
and I still think he's a very uh, highly touted player, and I I'm hoping that for his sake, mostly for his sake, that he has a breakout season.
Yeah. Well, it was tough. I mean, like the thought was to play him with line A, and then he goes down. The second line wasn't overly strong. They struggled defensively to start, and he was something like minus 21 in his first 24 games, and it had to be tough for him. Uh, you know, but I saw in the two previous years, and especially the before he got injured, like he he was pretty good down low, and he could do the job defensively. Like I think that he can be the second line center, but I think you agree with me that you may not want to just stick him in right away again, and if he struggles, then you you're like me with I'm sure with thinking that like confidence is such a key to an NHL player, right?
Yes, and I mean, if you set the bar low and he hits over the bar naturally raises itself.
Yeah,
But if you set the bar high and he can't get there, the frustration and the the mental belief and so many other things that go with the game start to interfere. So
yeah,
if it's just nice and low and everything's a small progression, that's that's how guys like Docker or anyone that's been in these situations finds their way out.
yeah. I know I don't get a lot of backing on this, and I've been saying it for a while, but I think there's a possibility that Kapanen could start could start the year between Line and Demidov. I like his play away from the puck. I think it's underrated at how smart a player he is already. And he went back to the SHL and he was top 3 in points per game at 21 years of age. I mean, the progression tells me that he has the capability of being a second line center down the road. What are your thoughts on Kapanen?
Well, I like Kapanen because he's a little. He does a little more of a lot of things good. He doesn't do anything that's where you'd say, "Oh man, he's exceptional," right?
Right.
But he also doesn't do anything that you say, "Oh, he's not an NHLer," right?
Right.
So he has tremendous upside. Um, I think his detail for the game is really really good. Um, so yeah, I mean he could possibly be an option.
Yeah.
I didn't think of him as an option, but I, yeah, he could be an option. And you just never know because um, Marty makes his decisions based on what you earn. So,
Right.
eh,
Yeah.
if he continues to earn it, I wouldn't be surprised if he is a second line center.
I just, I've looked at Stanley Cup champs over the last few years, and Cirelli. You can look at some of the second line centers, right? You look at Cirelli, Braden Shen, Chandler Stevenson, um, you know, Sam Bennett to a certain extent, especially like he's never had great point production regular seasons. Uh, I don't think, especially if it's Line and Demidov who are his wingers. Ideally, I believe that you need a guy that has those details that can be the defensive conscious for those guys that can, lay back when needed. Is very good away from the puck. It doesn't have to be a highly skilled offensive center to play with those guys. I don't think.
No, no, you're 100% spot on. Like you always try to balance out your lines, right? You can't have somebody that's kind of doing it all, right? But if it and that's why I made the point, like if Doc just has the responsibility in his own end of being in the right position and layering up, even if he loses the guy on the hybrid system they have, then he layers up again. Like he would be more than fine. That line would be more than fine.
Yeah, we had a bit of an audio glitch there, so Rob's moved from his car into the dressing room. Uh, um, so who all would have been on the ice this summer when at the rink along with the boys?
Well, our we like to keep our group pretty tight knit, so it's really my four boys, then one of my partners in my business, his kid, and then we have a goalie that's out there, and then we have one or two other kids that we invite that are college players. So
Okay, okay.
a nice little group, usually 7, 8 tops.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah,
So they get lots of ice time.
they get a lot of ice time.
Right on. The what do you think? What do you think of this addition of Bolduc and Dobson? Um, do you think that the Canadians can challenge for top 2 spot in the division this year?
Well, I don't know if it's going to be a top two, but I like they have the makings of a nice group, right? And those guys kind of fit the recipe for what they're doing as far as their age, their playing ability, what they bring. You know, Dobson, a right-handed defenseman, can put up some points, be offensive, join the rush, all that stuff. Great addition for the Canadians. Uh, the sleeper might be Bolduc. I watched him when he was a U16 player. He was at Mount. I want to say Mount St. Charles is
Okay.
where he played, and when we were at the Avalanche. So he's played against Lane before. Um, I think I think he's a pretty big human being.
He
Um,
is, yeah.
I think he's got some rather large hands. Um, he kind of plays. He's got a little bit of a style that reminds me of Cam Stewart when Cam Stewart played college hockey at Michigan.
Oh,
Like like
interesting.
like really a physical,
Thick.
uh, thick kid.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, and he brings it, and he started to really bring it the last half of the year in St.
Yeah.
Louis. So I noticed that a lot. So I'm a big fan of both those guys, and I think they're great additions.
Yeah. When I was looking at him, he looked like a little bit similar to Heineman, but maybe one level above, like an upgrade on Heineman, which isn't a bad thing because Heineman is a good young player as well.
Yep, yep. Heine was a very good player, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
sometimes you got to give up a good player to get a good player.
absolutely. Yeah. And the same with giving up Mayu, like that.
Yeah,
A lot of people are thinking, oh, the Canadians got a steal there, but hey, wait and see, right? I still think Logan Mayu is going to be a heck of a good NHL defenseman.
yeah. Listen. I think he's a similar, comparable to Noah Dobson, right?
Yeah,
I think he's
right. A
just
younger version. Yeah,
a younger version that it's going to take some time, and it take everybody has a different path. Um,
for
so,
sure.
uh, like Logan's going to do just fine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I believe so too. Have you watched any of the rebuild this year?
I I haven't, and I mean I don't know if I want to watch any of it. But I mean I can only assume, and I hear from friends and family, and my family in Canada is like, oh, you were in the car or whatever it was, talking to Lane, and I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much how our day goes. Like, there's usually a nice check in after, he has a skate, and I always ask him how he's feeling, and what he felt, how he felt, and what he thought was good, and what he thought wasn't great, and um, you know just a just try to be a voice for him.
Yeah. Okay. I've only seen the first episode so far. That must be in two or three, but I know um the very first episode. I don't think he was on camera other than being in the background. I was wondering if maybe the producers' expectations weren't maybe as high as they should have been because I'm sure he's in a lot of episodes after that.
Well, listen, he doesn't need any more press or accolades. Things are going just fine for him.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
he'll be fine if he's not in any episodes.
There you go. There you go. And oh, Rick's giving me a call. I'm going to be on with him a little later. um, yeah. So Quinn, how did his summer go? And is he hoping determined to crack the Oilers lineup to start the year?
Well, I mean, we're empty nesters now because Quinn left this morning. He's in Washington at that upper deck deal that they have to start the year. And then he'll be in Edmonton tomorrow night. So all I hope for is that he gets a fair crack at it. Just I'm a believer. Drop a puck between whoever you're competing with, and whoever comes out on top comes out on top. And Quinn's well aware of, even though they're potentially teammates, he knows who he's competing with Howard and Savoy, and you know that'll make for an interesting process for him.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So Edmonton, let's say they make the next step there. They get back to the final. Montreal has a magical season. They make the final, and Quinn's in the lineup, Lane's in the lineup. Who you cheering for in the Stanley Cup Finals?
Whoever wins.
There you go.
I mean, it was clear that's who I was cheering for, right? Like, I, we all like to win, so I was.
Absolutely.
I'll go on record as I'll be cheering for the winner.
Well, it's you got ties to both, right? You sort of grew up in Edmonton in your
Yeah.
later teen years, and then I mean Lane being the first son drafted by Montreal. I'm sure there's always going to be a soft spot for the Canadians, regardless, right? So that would be tough. You'd have to have one of those caps with the Oilers on one side and the Habs on
It
the
should,
other, or whatever.
and just spin it around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And Cole, um, was he was he home the whole summer? Or I kind of got the impression that maybe he was training elsewhere for a bit of the summer too, or was he at home the whole?
So, contrary to what Cole says, Cole was a student at Boston University this summer.
Okay.
He wasn't just there for hockey. Um, so he took some classes to get
Okay.
ahead, which is great. Um, Skated, lifted, worked out, did the national junior camp
Yeah.
in Minnesota, and then he was home for like, Cole was only home for maybe 5 weeks tops.
Okay. Okay. Because I
So
know at one point you were saying the three lads, but you weren't mentioning Cole. So I thought maybe he was in Boston. Yeah.
yeah, he was in Boston, and they have a
Okay.
nice little skate there too, and
Yeah.
some pros and everything else. So yeah,
Yeah.
Cole was in a good spot.
Good BU's. I imagine he's excited about another having another solid year. Do you think he turns pro after this year?
I mean, I don't know. Like, there's never been anybody that stayed too long in college, right?
Yep.
So,
Yep.
if the scenario isn't right for Cole, then we as a group and a family have to make that decision, right? So that's where that's the other element of the game when it becomes a business, right? You have to um kind of stick together and stand pat on what your thoughts are.
Yeah. What there's a shifting dynamic in junior hockey and college, USHL and CHL with obviously with the changes with college eligibility and stuff. What do you think of how it's going to affect junior hockey down the road and already?
Well, I mean, I think college hockey is like closer to the American Hockey League than what the
Yes.
CHL is. I mean, it's hard for me to say that being Canadian, like, uh, but it just is, right?
Yep.
There's um uh, in scouting, when the crossover scouts compare players, it gets hard because you're basing it on who you're up against, right? So like Gavin McKenna, believe it or not, it like if I would have been Willie McKenna, the dad, I would have said go play in Hockey East. And why would I say Hockey East? Because you're playing against 23, 24, 25-year-old men,
Yep. Yep.
right? And that kind of prepares you just a little bit more. Even the NCHC, right? I would have done that before I did the Big Ten, because the Big Ten has a lot of younger guys, but
Fair
they're
enough.
all pretty good. But Big Ten hockey it's still good. There's no there's no really bad college hockey.
No, no. What are your thoughts on Michael Hage? I imagine you've gotten to with his Chicago connections and stuff. You've seen a bit of him through his career so far.
So I think Michael's done a really nice job. Um, when I had him when he was younger, even before juniors, he played on a team for me, and he was a high end player, right? But he still had a lot of bad habits,
Yeah,
and 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 sometimes those bad habits stick with you, like circling
right.
over pucks, reaching, things like that. And he's cleaned a lot of that up in his game. So he should be really proud of where he's at. And that just tells me that he's a coachable kid,
Yes.
right? So
Yeah.
so so his upside becomes even higher, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well,
So
that's what I've seen from him. That he's got to keep working on his play away from the puck, but certainly when he has the puck, he's super skilled and smart kid, isn't he?
yep, yep.
You know.
Very, very, very smart kid.
Yeah. And yeah, I guess what's happening, you know, the USHL is going to lose players to the CHL. Um, CHL is going to lose older players. Like I think what's going to be happening here is that the Canadian, Hockey League is going to become uh, younger, and there's going to be more skilled younger players, but the 18, 19-year olds that can't go to the AHL, right? That think, well, college hockey is a stepping stone for me to the NHL are going to go just as we've seen over this past year, and that junior hockey is going to become younger, right?
Yeah, and I think that's one of the concerns that probably Hockey Canada has, and I don't know if USA Hockey has it yet, because uh, uh, that they're kind of on their doing their own thing.
Right,
Um,
right.
but I think from a standpoint of like Hockey Canada is going to have the issue where they're going to be developing kids and they're going to lose them to like the McKennas of the world, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
then all of a sudden, hey, where's my development fee from the NHL? Like, yeah, like
True.
there's got to
Yeah,
be there's got to be some type of self correction, right? But I
yeah,
think at the end of the day, it's going to balance out, because for them, it's become clear, especially in the CHL, that it's all about the money,
right,
right?
right.
Which is unfortunate. So
Yes.
they're gonna have to figure out ways to keep the money now.
And I think, Rob, what we're also seeing is a bit of an exodus of young players in the USHL going to the CHL because it's a maybe a step up in level, and it's going to hurt. Ultimately, down the road, it's going to hurt the USHL as well because these kids are now eligible to play college hockey after.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, without a doubt, and I think it's all going to depend on what types of players the CHL is looking for, what types of players the USHL. I mean, in the history that I have with the USHL, with my boys playing in it, it's always been faster, heavier, more college like than um, all- the CHL, right? It's always been like the top team, like years ago, the Chicago Steel, they could have played against London Knights in a 5 game series and you don't know who's going to win it.
Fair
Now,
enough.
now it boils down, the London Knights are probably going to have a little bit more skill depending on the birth years, depending on what's going on. Like '08s and '09s up in Canada appear to be a little bit better than the US. So,
yeah,
but the new team at the development program, I think, is going to be pretty good. They're pretty loaded, the O9s. But after those 25 guys, there's not a lot out there.
yeah, yeah. Did you consider Lars playing in CHL this year, or was it Muskegon all along?
No, it's been Muskegon all along because Quinn played there.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
I, um, I know their staff. I know what their expectations are. Like, so as a parent, you know, unless something went completely sideways, the CHL wasn't um, really an option. And even this year, like I don't know how much ice time he's going to get, but I'm not necessarily worried about that. I'm worried about how he develops and mentally matures. Because he's got a couple of years till his draft year. So, um, he's a late '08.
Okay. Right.
So
Yeah.
so he's
Well,
so he's technically in the '09 crop.
yeah.
And I I I mean, I think it should be more than fine. But if I had to go to the CHL, like it would be London, right? It's London or really nothing.
Well, they have a bit of a reputation. I think,
Yeah,
fair to say.
yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, listen. I appreciate this as always, Rob. It's been a pleasure, and you know, are you going to be up at the? I'm going to be going down to the rookie tournament. Are you? When are you going to be in Montreal next? Do you figure?
I that I don't know. I
Okay.
We just kind of playing it day by day.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I know I'll be in Detroit for when they play Detroit, their second game of the year. I'll be in Chicago for that game. I don't know if I'll go to Toronto for their first game. So I'll um, I'll work them in. I'll
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
I'll get enough hockey in.
So you're not going to be during camp. You don't foresee being at
Yeah.
any of the exhibition games.
No, unless there's any type of meetings that I have to be involved in, I don't anticipate being there.
Yeah. Well, you might miss out on a couple of those cheese beef max or whatever,
Yeah, the beefy max. Yeah,
beefy max.
yeah. It's not. It wouldn't hurt me to miss out on a few of those.
Okay, Rob. Well, as always, I appreciate it, and we will see you at the rink at some point, I'm sure, this year. I oh yeah, I met you and Lane at the gold medal game. You were kind enough to get me a ticket through Bauer, which I really appreciated. And it only struck me later, and I guess I'm not always on the ball, but I I guess I walked right by your wife, Julie, and didn't even acknowledge her. It didn't clue into me. I thought it was maybe your niece or something. But I should apologize to her for me for not saying hi to her. And the next time I do have the pleasure of seeing you and hopefully Julie, I'll say hello to her.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. I guess I married good. She's like 30 years younger than me, so
Definitely. I wasn't going to say it, but yeah,
yeah,
I'm glad
yeah,
you did.
yeah. Some people overachieve, Grant. Some people overachieve.
Excellent. Thanks, Rob, and we'll talk to
Okay.
you soon.
All the best with HabsCast.
Thank you.
Okay. Cheers.